Hey guys, just to give you a little update, the fuel cut defender didn't work for me. I bought an HKS that was meant for Mazda, Subaru, Toyota, so it's probably a good chance why, or because I bought it used. Could have been bad, so that didn't work. But as well as I did have it wired up wrong at first. That was my fault. Your best bet for that, when I say pin 87, treat it like pin 30 on the ASD relay, or wire the power wire straight to your ignition switch. What happened with me is it caused my injectors to pulse and the car didn't want to start. And then we rewired the whole thing, grounded it out to the battery. Then it wasn't causing that issue anymore. Voltage readings were right for the map sensor, but no matter which way you adjusted it, it would not hold boost, or it wouldn't allow me to boost. And I guess if somebody wants to caveat on that, that's done it, and let me know what I did wrong. They don't HKS, the directions were all in Japanese, and so it could be that. The wiring diagram was the same though, so it was pretty easy to figure out which one went where. Some people were saying to wire the ground to your map sensor ground, which didn't work for me. So keep that in mind before you try this. If you need any help with the wiring diagrams, I do have access to those. I am a Chrysler tech, so getting wiring diagrams for the Mitsubishi Eclipse, the 420As, are pretty easy since they used the same engines in the Eagle Talon, which was a Chrysler car, as well as the Neon engines were pretty similar. So it's I should be able to help you, but wire the power wire to the pin 30, which is ran straight from the ignition switch, or just go straight to the ignition switch and do it that way. Ground wire straight to the battery. Everything else that I wired up is correct. But since it didn't work for me, for some reason, instead of buying another fuel cut defender, a new one, I bit the bullet on a Megasport. So we'll have that to keep in mind. But yeah, any more questions after that, feel free to leave them in the comments, hate messages, whatever. We can hash it out together. Thanks for watching. Please watch it all the way through. Don't jump ahead. That way you get the full extent of what's trying to get explained. And I hope everybody learned something. What's up guys? Brett here again. Today I'm going to show you how to install the fuel cut defender on a 420 Eclipse. So let's get into that a little bit. So I made a little diagram to make it easier for everybody and myself to understand. So for a 97 Eclipse or Talon, depending 97, 97.5, might change a little bit. So this is your wiring for the map sensor. Mainly the wire we are focused on is pin number 3, the yellow and black wire, which is your signal wire or signal return wire. From the map sensor to the PCM, we want to alter that signal going in to the PCM, which is where the fuel cut defender comes in. As you can see, I should go over this. It's an HKS fuel cut defender I got used. You can manually adjust settings. That's the part number if you want it. So you can see that. You can pick up these wiring diagrams online. But your yellow wire will actually go to the PCM. White will go to your map sensor. And then you have your red. All you want to do that is a 12-volt ignition on. You don't want it to create a draw because your battery will die. So something like the ASD relay or the fuel pump relay, or even going straight to your ignition switch, depending on how you want to get into it. That's how you're going to want to do it. I did make a little wiring diagram, hopefully to make it a little easier for everyone to understand and how I'm going to wire it up. So what you're going to do here is splice or cut this wire. We're just going to completely open it, so they won't connect at all. You won't splice it. You just want to, I guess, wire this in parallel with this wire. So the yellow will go to the PCM from the Field Cut Defender. The white will go from the Field Cut Defender to the map sensor. Then that's what's going to alter your signal, so it doesn't go over 5 volts and you get away with boosting without a field cut. And this is just how I'm going to do it, but your red wire will go to your ASD relay. You're going to want to do that to pin 87, and that's the colors right there, black and red. It'll be pin 2. If you're not sure, you can pull out your relay and look at the pins on the bottom side, which I will show you as well. That way you can kind of do it and see. I am just going to use a 3-way wire splice just to make it easier. I guess if I can find one. I forgot to bring one from work. And do it that way, just to make it a little bit easier to install for me today. And then the other one is just a chassis ground. Just ground it out somewhere. A good ground, something not a lot of pain on. Just that you're sure it'll work right on. Okay. Alright guys, so I've got this ready to be soldered. I guess you don't have to solder it, but I'm going to, just to be safe. But as I was saying before, white will go to your map, and the yellow will go back to your PCM. And that's where we're going to start. I'll hand this off to John so I can keep soldering. Always let your soldering iron warm up. You can just use wire crimps if you want. I just want a more permanent install because I'm hoping this is going to work. Let you start by heating up the wire a little bit, and after you think you heat it up enough, the little trick is to put a little bit on your tip, and then if it starts soaking into the wire, you should almost be ready to solder. And when you solder, what you want to do is make sure it soaks into the wire, which I'm hoping will accomplish today. If it doesn't soak into the solder, you can just take it apart, let it cool down, and clean it with some electrical cleaner. And that should work. As you can see, that's soaking in nicely. So we are good to go. You don't want to overdo it. And if you look at that, that's a good soldering job right there. That's what you want to see when you solder. Go to the next one. Same thing. Let it heat up a little bit. If you think it's enough, the wires are pretty small. You don't want to use something like this on your bigger wires. It's going to take too long. It doesn't take long. Doesn't take long to do a good job. Another decent job. And the heat shrink I'm using is actually a Chrysler heat shrink, funny enough, on this Chrysler made engine. If you guys didn't know. And it's actually got a sealant inside of it to keep from corroding. If you're using normal store-bought heat shrink, what you want to do is put some dielectric grease on your wires before you do this. And generally you don't want to use a soldering iron for this, you want to use a heat gun. But we're cheap. I have a heat gun, which is terrible. We're going to do it this way. It works for me, you just don't want to do it too much, you might melt your wires. It's kind of chilly out here. And if you use similar heat shrink to what I'm using, when it's ready to go, you'll see the sealant come out a little bit. Same thing with this one. Slide that over there. Good to go. It's taking a little bit of extra heat because it's chilly. sitting out in the garage. Can't see it, but it's a little too hot. They won't kill it, but you do want to be careful. The electrical part of it is very important. If you hook it up wrong, it might not work. Hell, I don't even know if it'll work. I bought a used fuel cut defender, so it might not. Well, hopefully it will, and hopefully we'll find out. Tie this together a little bit just to kind of make our job a little bit better. Which, I don't know why I'm fighting this thing. I already did what I wanted to do. Come on. I'm only going to do it right before where I soldered, just to kind of make it clean. To bite the bullet. Just tuck it in here anyway for now. And I'll just snip tight in, and that way I can adjust it how I need it. It's still accessible. And do the same thing for the other side. Take my light real quick. We're going to ground that to this ground right here, because why not? It's there, it's usable. And then for the power, we're going to go here to your ASD relay, which mine's all dirty. We're going to clean that up before I do all this. And then we're going to pin it to, or wire it to pin 87, which will be switched on when your ignition is on, hopefully not causing a draw. We're good to go on that. Alright, so we're just going to say this is your ASD relay, just a common relay from AutoZone that I'm using for a fuel pump relay. This is how you're going to look at it at the firewall, right? So this will be your front pin right here. This is pin 87 in the front, which makes it easier. You don't have to do the ASD relay. You can get away with doing, like, we'll just say the fuel pump relay, or you can wire it straight to your ignition, or if you have an aftermarket radio and you don't have subs, you can use your power continuous wire. There's multiple different options. So you'll be your front guy right there. That is pin 87, which mine is nasty, but it is black and red. There is 2 black and red wires, which one is a constant power. So you want to make sure to do this front one right here, right underneath your clip. To start with, if you're going to do it my way. And it should be the same for your fuel pump relay. Same thing, right in there. Front wire, pin 87. They both hook up the same way. Either or is fine, because I mean your fuel pump's constantly running, so it should not cause any issues and will say the same effect. And like I said, there's other options to choose from if you decide not to do it that way. Like if you want your fuel cut defender in the car, you can definitely use that aftermarket radio to your advantage and hook it into the power continuous wire or straight to the ignition switch, figure out which wires are what, and go from there. Alright, I didn't have any of those 3-way eyelet connectors, so John here recommended something. So basically, you're going to take your ASD wire here and kind of split it open, make it into a little circle. Then you're going to shove your other wire, which I soldered, that's why it's orange. It is the red wire coming from the fuel cut defender. Shove that through the eyelet, wrap them together, and then solder them. I mean, which this works because it's going to be a better connection in the long run. I mean, that is kind of a crappy solder job, but it's going to hold. So that works. And then after this, pretty much plug everything back together, tape up all your loose connections, all that crap. And once you do that, give her a go. And the ground is hooked in here, as I said, and then we're going to just zip tie this in here, the fuel cut defender. I don't think there's an actual way to test it and make sure, but if you have a you can either use a multimeter, or you can get somebody with a decent enough scan tool that'll read data, and then you could see if it's varying at lower idle speeds. And if you really want to feel or do that, you can use it for full throttle pulls to see if it's going above. And if it is going above or not high enough, you have this little dial here, and then you'll cut. So your cut down here is that is saying that you're getting fuel cut. So it's going to be closer to the stock ACM, and over to the normal is it's going to act normal. I guess you can kind of see that old guy. It's set at 9 right now. We're going to try that and see how it goes. But to see the full throttle pull videos, hopefully that we will get, you will have to return. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.